Aloha, it is Dave Lawrence, and we're down at the Blue Note in Waikiki, the Blue Note, Hawaii, and what a thrill it is to get to sit with Lisa Fischer. She's got her Lisa Fischer and the Grand Baton Tour coming here and doing some shows at the Blue Note until Sunday night, a couple shows a night. God bless you. Thank you for taking some time for us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm just so happy to be here. We were in Australia prior to this, so I'm just happy to be here. It's winter there.
I saw on your Facebook, I guess it was, I was doing a little homework on you, trying to get organized for today. I saw you Adelaide, a few other shows, and right, the seasons are a little different down there, and we got a nice hot greeting here for you in town, a little warm.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, Australia was wonderful as well. It's just, when I knew I was coming here, I was just imagining the sand under my toes, you know.
Well, that'd be a nice touch for the Blue Note in the future. They could put a little bit of that right here in the venue. Before we get into a little bit of your fantastic background, and it is extensive for folks who are not as familiar with it, the show includes some great arrangements, songs that people may know and love, but then they may take them a moment. Oh, wait a minute, is that, because of the way, whether it's rock and roll from Zeppelin, whether it's some of the Stones classics folks might associate, from your career of days working with them. When you describe this show that you're doing for people who may be interested in coming down, who are curious about it, describe how you go about doing this with these very unusual arrangements and how you put together your set list.
Yeah, the members of Grand Baton are key to the whole sound. J.C. Maillard is the musical director and arranger, and so he's from Guadeloupe, and his take on just rhythms and his freedom of mind and spirit when he plays and arranges is just his kind of just put a stamp on the whole feeling of just how fun everything should feel and how free everything should feel. And so it's J.C. Maillard, and it's Terry Arpino, who's playing drums and percussion, and it's also Aidan Carroll, who's a bassist, upright bass and electric bass and vocals. And so we all just kind of get in this stew, this sort of like musical stew of things that we just made a list of things that I love to do, and things that felt good to me, things that sort of rang true somewhere in me. And JC went to arranging and putting everything together, and then this is what it ended up being. And so it's just been such a great experience for me to be able to sort of kind of float on their love boat and just kind of spill into the rest of the audience, and just kind of, you get these waves of feelings and love that kind of come back, and it's just been amazing.
That's a great way of describing it, because it's a very psychedelic sort of performance, believe it or not. As someone who saw The Dead about 50 times when I was in high school. Yeah, I did. 44 times plus Jerry about 8 times solo. So.
Hey.
Yeah, it was so quite a journey.
Oh, that's so right.
And the reason I guess I mention it, Lisa, is because the delay. She's got a couple of mics, like one with like more of a clean sound, and then another mic on a stand, just like soaking with delay. So people who are fans of psychedelic music, it's sort of a not to mention the arrangements go with what you're doing with your voice, is it the kind of thing where you do a different set each night, or have you mastered a set that you like to deliver with the particular songs?
Yeah, we've been doing pretty much, I don't want to say it's the same set, but it's a lot of times what happens with the music is that it's almost like a kiss. Each song is its own special kiss, but the kisses are never repeated, if that makes sense. You feel like you know it, but each kiss is in the moment. Each song is in the moment, and so things happen between us musically, and so it feels different to me every single time. So I would say yes, but no, because we do change up the sets. But even when we don't change up the set, it still feels different to me, because for me it needs to feel different every time I do it.
There's a lot of room for improvisation within the songs, no matter even if it was a particular set. I can. That's a great description, the way that you describe it. I was reading about your life, and for anybody who's had to persevere through tough times, and no doubt a lot of folks have out there. And I look at you and I think, at a very early age, you are without parents, looking after siblings. I look at this career you've had, it seems to me like when I think of someone who has tenacity, strength, something that has maybe formed that? Do you look back at the way you've had to fend for yourself and sort of learn early as influencing or kind of informing the path that you've taken and your ability to continue to regenerate and maybe be a very self-sufficient person?
You know, it's interesting. It's like when I hear you speak about this person, I never feel like it's me in a weird kind of way, because I feel like each person's path is their path. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, losing my mother, you know, at a young age, and then my father, you know, leaving home, and then, you know, just being the oldest sister. When I think of caring for them, it's a natural sibling thing, you know, where, you know, both the parents go out to work, and, you know, you're babysitting your siblings. And so it just felt like it's what happens. It's your life. It is what it is, and you deal with it, and you don't complain because you really don't have anything to compare it to. And so, you know, there are things that are going to feel great, and some things are going to feel really awful, and there's going to be some things that you wish you could just miss, and, you know, other things that you really want to stay present for forever. And it is the path of life to me. It just is what it is. And I just feel thankful for every minute that I get to live it, because none of it is a given.
Yeah, well, it definitely would make a person tough, and you described it well. When you go through that at that age, you wouldn't know any different, and you pick up a shield and a sword just through that experience to be strong and tough, and you wouldn't know, I guess, later in life when things like that come along. You feel robbed, you feel vulnerable because you know different, versus if you don't, you can go right through it, and people are like, wow, she has like a suit of armor to be that strong. And it also seems like as you progressed into your earliest professional years, you had both the professional mentorship and personal guidance from Luther, the late Luther Vandross.
Yes. Yeah, no, he was just, I felt like a whole new world was opening up to me. Because it was really, I mean, I hadn't met anyone that had done that sort of, that had that kind of eye for detail, for everything, for the gels and the lights on the stage, the beading on the gown, what each person wore, and actually having each outfit actually made for each person's body type and personality, and also, I think within that made me feel like, you know, he wasn't trying to make everyone be the same. He really did honor each person's individuality, and still somehow was able to make the whole package feel cohesive, because he was so into pleasing his audience. That was the most important thing to him. He was really connected in that way.
What a cool way to describe, with the customized outfits that fit that person's uniqueness. That says a lot about attention to detail. It's a great tribute to him, the way that you described that. There have been some people. I put a few highlights together of before we get to the Stones, which is an obvious thing that people would be curious about in your life. There's some other really important cats. I just picked a couple of highlights, and if they're not your highlights, you can please take it in the direction that's most appropriate for your storytelling ease and what feels good coming out of your soul. But Aretha, Diana, Patti LaBelle. I mean, these are like Diana Ross. The Diana is there. You get to interact with these heavy cats. What comes to mind? You hear their names, or is there a story or something that goes with one of them, or that you want to share?
I remember I've not had the pleasure of meeting her, Diana Ross, but I feel like I know her only because of the way that Luther loved her so deeply. He was talking, my first year with him, there was a makeup artist named Renee DiCimiso. And Renee did the makeup for Diana Ross for the concert that was in the park in New York City. And it poured. It was a free concert, and it poured rain, and her makeup did not move an inch. And Luther hired him based on that. And so he toured, he went on tour with us. He hired Renee to do our makeup. So it was just amazing. So in a weird way, I feel like, I would look in the mirror and I see a little bit of Diana every night, Anyway.
How'd you get the Stones gig? When I watched you, I guess I could say, let me back up and say, watching Lisa do a set, and you hear, I mean, she's got a cannon inside. I mean, it's like you unleash that thing and you use the mics in such a, you know, you're really good at handling the mics, and it makes you say, well, thank you, but compared to you, really, I'm really nothing. But I mean, after watching you on stage, and I've seen you in concert many times. I saw you at Foxborough Stadium with the Stones in 1994. Lenny Kravitz opened that one, if that makes any memories. I saw you back at Foxborough. I was in Boston for about 12 years, and it was in 97. Then I saw you at the Fleet Center in Boston. I've seen you several different times with the Stones, so I get an idea for what Mick or whomever it was. But if you can tell us the story of who was it who saw what was going on with you and said, we got to have this in the band.
I was touring with Luther Vandross, and there was a wonderful man that worked for the Stones organization named Tony King, and he was doing publicity. And Mick, at that time, the Stones weren't together. Mick was on a solo tour, and Mick was looking for background singers. And so Tony had come to the show and suggested that I come down to the audition, and they got in touch with my manager and worked it all out. And so I went down and I auditioned for Mick, and I didn't know what I was walking into because, you know, I'm just like, you know, the Luther girl with the makeup and all the drag and all the hair and all that great stuff is not who I am at home. It's just, you know, it's a whole nother person. I'm just like, ta-da. And so when I went down to the audition, I was, ta-da, you know, just, you know, hair crazy and cut off shorts and a little white summer t-shirt and my little tape in my hand. And I go down and I meet Mick, and he's sitting behind a desk, and he was filming, I think it was a video for Let's Work or something like that. He was doing a video. And I go in and you know, the hush in the room and the way that, you know, you have to be kind of entered in, I felt like, well, this is a whole system going on here. It's a whole thing. And so I come in and I hand him the tape, and he puts the tape in the little boom box, and he's playing it, and he's, you know, doing this thing. He's like, can you sing it? So I sing along with the thing, and I'm singing along, and he gets up from behind the desk, and he starts doing this thing, you know, he starts doing his dance, and I'm just like looking, going, what in the world is he doing? But I didn't let it throw me, but I just thought it was really interesting. It made me curious, and I just thought it was cool and funny and sweet, and I at the end of the day I thought, oh, he's just trying to vibe and just get a vibe. And it was just new for me because I hadn't met anyone like him before.
And who would do something like that to get into the vibe, as you put it.
Yeah, just so open, so free, and so open. It was just beautiful. Dancing
to your tape that's in the boombox.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. I guess he was trying to imagine what it would be like, you know. So, yeah. It was.
And he did it a whole lot after that. And you entertained so many people. I mean, these giant stadiums, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people. Who knows how big some of these places were. I mean, it was an incredible stage show, too, that they would put on, that you'd be up there under literally one of the largest productions. Was that itself had to be a little daunting, I guess, the first. But you started on Steel Wheels, so you came right into the Lion's Den, I guess.
It was, again, a whole nother world. I was just like, everything was just so, you know, for a stadium, it's like, to me, the Stones understand stadium shows. They really, really do.
And making it a small place and intimate is a great way of putting, as a way I interpret what you're saying, understanding a stadium show. 20 feet from stardom, as we go to wrap it up, because I want to keep her voice in good shape. She's got a lot of work that she has to do in town, and a lot of mesmerizing as she just did. That seems to have, when I watched this place, full house, very first show of your run, place is packed. It's had a huge impact on your career.
Yeah, 20 feet from stardom, absolutely. I mean, it's given me, honestly, a second chance to not think about the business and just think about the music and think about making connection. I think when I first had an opportunity to have a record deal, I was kind of just, I didn't know what to do. I felt like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to make a mistake, and you know, it's just all this anxiety and fear of failure, you know. Yeah, I just didn't I hadn't grown up yet.
It's a lot like gambling, huh? Doing records, because it's like you're like you put it out there, you got to hope it's going to happen, and it just keeps going. I guess I just saw a new analogy I've never realized. To be a musician, you got to have kind of that gambler spirit.
Yeah, or just insanity.
One or the other.
Crazy.
It's Lisa Fischer. She's here with Grand Baton. She's doing several nights here at the Blue Note all the way through Sunday, and thrilled to get to talk to you. Really appreciated the performance. I really appreciated like I said, the psychedelic quality. Love the delay. Huge fan of the use of delay, whether it's on guitar, voice, whatever it is. You use it like a champ. And God bless you. Thank you for taking time for us and for just bringing your great performance here.
Thank you.